beauty, through faith, through transcendence, through tolerant admiration of the alterity for humans, by humans, while alive, needs to be shared, either through storytellings, through films, before opera, today games and series, but shared rather than individually consumed, like a film or like a theater play, a ballet dance, any form of storytelling, a mime, a silent film, anything that brings us, like classical music does so well, to think within ourselves, to reflect, to be critical of our situation, to have an awareness of our societal purpose, and to do individually what's right and best for one's own and one's own loved ones. And then when you write a poem or you leave a storytelling on film or you write a piece of music that through a pianist, in the case of classical piano playing, can evoke universes of musical transcendence over the cultures, the languages, the time periods, the styles, the ideologies, the obligations to think, to absorb countries, to absorb societies, to eventually erase languages and whole lineages, and forcefully impose something that is there to be owned. And what is beautiful through classical music is that it's not a pastime, it's not an escapism, it's more a self-reflection tool, and as well as a mirror for society, to bring us to share what is meaningful between us, what is beautiful, even if it's subjective opinion of what is beauty, what is creation, how, and nobody should or needs to impose it, but to be aware of the fact that we live it. We have the struggle to survive and the struggle to provide and the struggle to hope and the struggle to think on our own, be able to understand things that seem to be beyond our scope of understanding, from celestial scales of events to a music piece that people are afraid to listen to because they might find it boring or they don't know what it's supposed to be, just like sports, but then that's more communal because it's shared in a stadium, or even if not, it has some kind of idea of combining people among themselves for one shared moment of humanity. And of course, the cruelty of the Roman circus and the cruelty of everything can be used to ironically superimpose on this kind of benevolent, obviously naive for most people, idea of humanity through elevating their spirit through beauty in art, in life, in respect, in drawing the meaningful, soulful, bigger than our being, sharing of humanity, from the simple courtesy of politeness to the very thought about beyond one's own people, about the communal good. And it's not about sharing it or obliging it, it's about giving an opportunity to reflect upon it on our own individual little level compared to organizations, wealth, and forceful systems. It's just an individual being passing through life like a passenger, if life in this analogy would be a trip, and it starts without knowing where, and it leads not knowing till when. But in meantime, there's something communal to share, and I find that paradoxically, beyond the beautiful meaning of music in lives of people that are not in the classical genre, is because they can relate to it through lyrics that they can scream or sing with the singer when they exercise or they drive or they cook or they do something, and music is like a film soundtrack if the film was life itself, or doing homework or dancing or loving or praying or mourning or rejoicing, or it seems to be like music translates psychologically the different moments of one's existence. In a way, a poem does, a painting does, a film does, an unforgettable storytelling told interactively through the video game, or at all level of fiction, of art as an artificial reproduction of life's essence, hope, despair, love, hate, sometimes the two sides of the same token, and at the same time fully involved in transmitting through generations of children or students or others, or even teaching without being a teacher, just by example, doing the right thing, the hard thing, the right thing. And when you serve the muse in classical music, you cannot just sit down and have fun with three chords. It's more complex than that, while simple in its beauty, but complex in its thoughtful process, which centuries ago some people thought about. Same with painting. Anybody, any child that draws, but not all paintings can be drawn by the child. So therefore, same thing with the mother tongue, like music by ear, which by writing and reading makes us reflective, thoughtful, responsible, critical human beings, and appreciative as well, but at which level and how coerced and how socioeconomically brought in a situation where ultimately in the niches of classical music compared to the other styles of entertaining music, rock, rap, country, and R&B. I mean, everything is declined in so many sub-formulas of expression, which means so much to most of us who relate to music when we're not in classical music training, to songs, since that's basically what, even without lyrics, we think the piece is a song. Is the expression of the human nature. In 3 minutes, you tell a story in a song, and that can be like a mini version of a novel. In other words, between people who have faith and those who don't, people who appreciate beauty for its mystery or its grace or for the fact of just being alive to appreciate it. People don't always appreciate what they take for granted, but beyond these moralistic opinions, I think that it's just enough to open the eyes and see that even in the worst of tragedies, one can find some hope. Perhaps hope is the most important element of all of this, together with beauty, admiration, transcendence, what is bigger than us, our soulful being beyond our bodybuilding, bodily being rather than bodybuilding. I'm sorry for that. But that's the thought that when I think comes very naturally to me, is the communality of sharing these essentials, from a smile to the perfume of being, nature itself, the animals, the seasons, the generosity of friend, neighbor, parent, teacher, student, who shares something of their humanity, funneled or not by an ideology. Ultimately, music has the capacity to transcend languages and cultures, which are the product of a civilization which evolves and sometimes disappears. And then others arrive, and the scope of it is so large that at the level of the human life, people always think they're in their own modernity during the time they live, and that is supposed to be so. And when you have so much recorded history and so much fictionalized future, the present becomes some kind of either a museum, either a projection. But the reality is that we still have the same basic feelings of love and hope and longing and anger and outrage against injustice to us or to others. And not necessarily all humans will react with the same amount of humanity. But I find that classical music does have some kind of a capacity to link, to hyphenate humans.